Hello, I'm Mindfiend and welcome to episode 4 of this series. Now before we get started, the most important thing first, an update on the submarine skeleton horse. Is he still there? The answer is no, he's despawned, disappeared. Which is a shame because he was quite unique, but at least we always have the footage of him appearing and standing there. While doing menial chores of fishing and gathering resources and things like that, I often think about the world, and I thought I'd like the world to have a story, to have history, to have myths and lore. And I did notice that this world, for some reason, to me feels like it rains a lot more than my other world did. And I get a lot of thunderstorms. And then while I was doing this work, it just came to me. I thought, this could be called Thunder Bay, the area. And then while I'm doing it, the lightning's striking, and I thought, no, it's not Thunder Bay, it's Lightning Bay. And that can work into the law, because lightning is now so common, I do have to put lightning rods onto buildings to stop them catching fire and things like that. So maybe because of the area and because it's Lightning Bay and the lightning is so common that the villagers have all got together and they've passed a law that says that every home has to be protected from the lightning. Therefore, that gives you a reason for all the lightning rods in the village. And so, thinking about the backstory and the way certain things will be in this world, and the law behind it, it led me on to a couple of other reasons for certain things that are going to be done. But I'll talk about those later. Now, in this episode, I'm going to be doing basically a sugarcane farm, but I want to do a paper mill. I've got this fantastic idea for a paper making machine, and I want to incorporate it into the building. So here I'm just beginning to sort of lay out the area, try and think about the shape and size of the building. I find this a very strange process because here I know what I want to go where, so I'm designing the building around the interior, which is something I've not really done before. I normally build the building and then try to fit the things inside it. Either I build it just big enough to fit what I want and then design the interior, but here I've got a definite idea of how I want the shop front to be and how I want the factory floor to be. And once I'd got the building's location and shape decided on, I had to think ahead to what was going to come next, and I was going to need lots of observers and pistons for the sugarcane farm, which of course meant going to the Nether. And things got off to an interesting start when I was jump scared here by this zombie pigman before I even got into the Nether. But then all I did was I went through into my basalt delta, through the passageway, down to where the actual fortress is, and then I decided to start collecting as much quartz as possible because I'm going to need it for the observers for this farm. So I wanted to get quite a lot of it if possible, and it was actually quite peaceful and relaxing. The Nether was quiet, there wasn't really any trouble. I had got my gold helmet on, so everything was fine, no ghasts were around. It was all going quite well. I got lots of quartz. Before I'd even gone very far, actually, I'd only just got up the hill from where the Nether Fortress was, when I came over a rise and I saw this, a bastion remnant. Oh dear. They're definitely very dangerous and scary places, but they're quite useful too. They're exciting, they're interesting, and I definitely want to try and get pig step from one. But at this point in my game, I'm not geared up enough for a bastion remnant, so I'm going to leave it for now, but I know where it is. It's right next to the Nether Fortress. So after a bit more collecting of quartz, just getting a little bit further, not much further, I'm still only maybe 200 blocks from the fortress at this point, I managed to find a crimson forest. Now, a crimson forest is a biome I love to hate. It's a wonderful, interesting thing in the Nether. It's got this lovely wood, full of textures. It's got the shroom lights, which I have to collect. I like shroom lights. but it's also my least favourite of all the biomes because it scares me more than the other ones. I don't mind the warp forest with the Enderman or anything, but this one, it's always full of little scares and danger. Like, that scared the heck out of me, and that's only a baby. It's these things, hoglins. Oh, I hate hoglins. They hit so hard, and they've got so much health, and they always manage to scare me. But I managed to keep on getting resources. I'd got quite a bit of everything, even glowstone. And so on the way home, just got a little bit more magma cream. And it had been a very profitable trip. I'd got quite a lot of good stuff from it. Quartz, nylium, wood, glowstone, all the goodies. Then it was a case of build a big tower out of all the quartz I'd built. I'd managed to mine. Which I was quite pleased with. I'd got quite a bit. That's going to last me a while because I do like my observers. I really do. And redstone, things like comparators and repeaters. So after fortuning up that big tower, it turns out I managed to come back with roughly just over 10 stacks of nether quartz. Wonderful. But it wasn't just observers I wanted the quartz for. I wanted the blocks because I've got an idea of something I want to make out of them. I want to make the rollers for the paper machine. But I was a bit concerned about the texture. And then it came to me that I thought, well, actually, if I cook them, put them in the furnace, I'll get smooth quartz. I wonder if that was better. So putting them side by side, I could straight away see, yes, smooth quartz is better because you don't get the dividing lines between the blocks on the texture. Now, because the paper making machine is going to be the entire focus of this build, really, I wanted it to be kind of on display a little bit, and to make it on display I wanted the factory floor of the building to be a little bit lower than the office and the shop part, so that the overseer could come out, look down on the machine and the workers, and get a full overview, which meant digging down underneath the ground that I'd just covered up at the episode before, and I wanted the brickwork because that to me screams industrial revolution. You know, I'm living in England, that's what we think about. But of course brickwork needed lots and lots of clay, so I enchanted a couple of iron shovels and then went out on an adventure to collect some, and it wasn't very difficult. There's a river not too far away, and river biomes are fantastic for collecting clay from, so I could get massive amounts of it quite quickly. And the great thing about the chest boats now is that you can bring back lots of resources with you. You can fill their chest and then fill your inventory, return home, and you've got quite a lot of stuff. They're very useful, which is why I'm glad I built the grand sewer now, because I can get very close to my house, which makes it easy to offload the stuff. It still took a couple of trips. It did take a few trips to bring the stuff up, but I've got the exit way now to come out next to my house. And then all the case of it was putting it all into the smelter and getting it going, which took a while for it to smelt down that amount of stuff. Now what I'm trying to make really is the Minecraft version of a paper making machine, which was originally invented by Louis Nicolas Robert, and then later patented and improved upon by Fourdrinier. And it starts with a forming section, which is like a pool that the wet end of the machine, where the paper is sort of like mashed up and well, the fibre is mashed up and turned into these fibres, and then it's drawn out by a roller, a big roller that will draw it out, bring it across a drying section, and then over a second roller that will smooth it and tighten it into the paper, and then I intend to have it cut by the workers at the end on the blades of a machine. And I wanted the rollers to be on metal, revolving metal pieces, but couldn't really get them to connect to the gates like I wanted it to. The iron bars don't connect to it, so I had to go for posts all the way through. And I wanted the roller to be a defined cylinder, really, so it does mean as defined as you can get with Minecraft is stair blocks. So as I began to build it, I was looking at it and I'm thinking that's exactly how I wanted. I wanted the smooth roller. That's why I went for the quartz. But seeing it in the actual form as opposed to in my head, I began to question it and doubt it because there's going to be paper coming across this, and the paper's white, of course, and it will be mixing with the white of the roller. And I wanted the roller to be kind of give the impression of being metallic. Now, of course, you can't get iron blocks in stair form currently in Minecraft for some unknown reason. Um, so I needed to think, well, what can I do? How can I replace or give the impression of metal for the roller? Uh, and I came up with the idea of trying polished andesite. It's a compromise. It's definitely a compromise because the whole point with the quartz was I could get the smooth quartz, so it would be like the smooth roller there. You can see there's no square edges to the blocks, whereas here with the andesite you can see there's definite defined edges to each block. But the andesite does give sort of like the grey of like a steel drum, really, which is what I want. It's how I want it. I do want these rollers to be seen to be metal rollers underneath the paper. Um, so I built them both, compared them for a moment, and thought, yeah, well, I'm not keen on the edges of the blocks showing. The grey is the better idea, so I changed the roller into two metal rollers, two andesite rollers, so it looked like metal. And then to give more of an impression again of it being a roller, I wanted to see you to be able to see the dip in the floor so you could see that it can turn, which of course it won't turn, but it give the impression of being able to turn. And I did that simply by cutting out the blocks and putting down these stairs and then a row of slabs. So there is a small gap underneath the roller, just so that your brain sort of says, oh yes, there's room for that to turn. It would turn. Um, I know. Sometimes that's all you can do, isn't it? It's just give the impression of things. But it works quite well. It does fool the mind into thinking, yep, yeah, this is the roller. It turns round there above that hole. And then I just tweaking a little bit. I like these chiseled blocks here with the squares that look almost like the holes for posts to go into. So I move those as well. And then I'm working here on the drying section of the machine. I wanted to have this like stone bath type thing that the paper would pass across. You'll see why in a moment. What I'm doing here is I'm trying to give the impression of a grill work. I decided that acacia is very good for looking like metal grills. Well, grills, not necessarily metal ones, but and so I built the platform there for the paper to go across on the top. And it was at this point I realised I was going to need 9 item frames at the end of this project, and fishing had not given me enough leather. And I didn't want to kill cows. So for a long time I thought, what can I do about that? How can I get around that? Because fishing wasn't supplying the leather. And then eventually I remembered these fellas. Hoglins. I hate them, but they are a source of leather. And considering they're aggressive, they're not passive mobs, they're fair game. And so I took my looting 2 sword into the nether and spent ages making a bit of a killing ground and getting as much leather as I could. And during one of the lulls in the fighting, when I couldn't see any hoglins, I was gathering some quartz when this happened. I was just digging away and found this unexpectedly, which was a lovely find. My first piece of ancient debris. And so with it being the first piece, of course I had to keep it for posterity and put it on display rather than use it. But now I had my leather, it was time to add the paper part of the machine now. which involves banners to make it look like the paper's drooping down the front and the back of the rollers, which works quite well actually. And then carpet for the paper itself being drawn over the top of the machine, over the top of the grills there, which is the drying section, and up from the back at the wet end over the roller there. And it actually does look quite okay. You know, you can pretend it's paper. And then I thought about looms. I like the top texture on the loom, the lines. It made me think of blades, of cutting blades, and I thought, oh, the paper's coming down from the machine now and then getting cut by the workers at this end into sheets of paper. It's not quite how the machines work. They normally put them into big rolls, but you know, it's all an adaptation. And I thought the workers would stand at this end here and cut the paper itself and then sell it. But I thought, well, how can I show that? And this is where the leather came in. I wanted the item frames because I wanted to put down the sheets of paper now. So you can see that the paper's come down off the roller, been caught in those cutting blades on which are the top of the looms, and sliced into sheets of paper that the workers then remove. It does okay, yeah, it works. So then I built the wet end. This is the pool where you put the sugar cane in and let it mash down into the fibre. And I wanted the paper to droop right into it, so I put another row of banners on. And I'm really pleased with how this has come out. I really like the look of it. So we're just left to do the drying part really now, which of course was a couple of campfires under some lava blocks to give the impression of heat and steam coming through. So as it goes over the grill there, the paper is heated and steamed, and all the dampness is taken out of it before it's cut. And then came the perfect example of how one small idea leads to a very long time involving adventure. Because I was thinking about the cutting end of the printing press where the workers will be, and I thought I can put villagers there and I can actually make them work the printing press if I turn the 3 blocks at the end that I'd made as acacia stairs for the end of the paper making machine into bookshelves. Sorry, not bookshelves, lecterns. And it will look like they're working there making the paper, because they'll walk to the end and they'll stand there working. But I needed more leather for that, because I didn't have the leather for books to make bookshelves to make the lecterns. So I needed 3 books per lectern. I needed 3 lecterns, so I needed a lot more leather. And again, like I said, didn't want to kill cows, so it meant coming back into the nether to get the hoglins. While I was here in my favourite place, the Crimson Forest, which I ended up spending lots of time, hours, I thought, right, well, I'll do kind of like I do with slimes. I'll just build pens, and then if they spawn in them, all the better. So that's what I did. I kept building these little fenced off areas. I flattened out the land, I bridged over lava, took down trees, took down hills, and made it all flatter so that I could build these pens. If the hoglins spawn in the pen, they'll be easy to kill. If not, the gap between them is only 1 block wide. There's one that spawned in it, which proves the theory that it does work. Nice and easy to kill when they're in there. Simple. But if they don't spawn inside the pens, if I leave just a 1 gap between them, like this, I can fit through, but hoglins can't. So again, it's a bit of a safe area, as this proves perfectly. A group of 4 of them spawned at the far end, so soften them up a little bit with a bow first, and then just go down. They can't fit through this small pen, and then kill them off. So I spent hours getting a nice amount of leather. It really worked. So what I'm hoping for is that once I've got three librarians in the print factory, they'll be down there, they'll be walking around, and then when it's the time to work, they'll come to these three lecterns, and it'll just look like they're operating the end of the machine. That's as simple as that. And of course, these will be the ones I'll be able to trade paper with and everything. I've already thought about trading paper. It doesn't make sense to sell paper to them, but if you put the paper together and then they pay you for your work, that works. And so the next thing to do really was build the sugarcane farm part of it, but I put that off. I thought I'll start decorating first. I did know where I wanted it to go, thanks to the placing the shapes of the building to begin with, but I just at the time wasn't in the mood, so I thought, right, I'll do a bit of other work first. And the machine itself was finished, so I signed it and admired the long handiwork. But then I got onto the decorating before this happened. Death number 4. I'd been fishing as usual, and there'd been a knock at the door. I went to quickly answer it, and I was delayed a lot longer than I expected to be. So when I came back, I thought I'd pressed escape to pause the game, but I obviously hadn't done. And I was killed by a phantom apparently while I was away. But I managed to get all my stuff back, so that's not much of a problem. But I will try and get my own back on the phantoms at some point. I just had to sign death number 4. I'm keeping track of all the deaths because all the deaths will eventually go into gravestones in the church once the church is built. But for now, we've got a wall. To make myself feel better, I went for a palate cleansing bit of mining in the caves. I found 1 diamond, only 1, plenty of iron and redstone, and also found this spider spawner. I always like to find a proper spider spawner, get a good source of string. String is very useful. I don't need lots of it. I've got quite a good income of it as it is, but it's always nice to have it. And even more golden apples. I'm getting quite a collection of golden apples now. But the best thing about finding this spider spawner was I could hear the zombie villager, and I dug round to find him, and he was standing in an abandoned mine shaft. I've been waiting to find an abandoned mine shaft because for me they're the best sort of thing, because you get the free source of minecart rails. Such good value, wonderful place. I managed to get 3 diamonds out of that 1 diamond block, which was really lucky. However, when I tried to repair my ore extractor pickaxe, 1 diamond wouldn't fix it, 2 wouldn't fix it, even 3 would not fully repair it. So in those circumstances, you just make a new pickaxe and then combine them, and then that will fully repair it. I want my tools to have a lifetime. I want them to have a history to them. I want to be able to say, oh look, this is ore extractor. I've had to retire him now, but he was my first pickaxe. He was my first silk touch pickaxe. You know, and have the memories and the connection to the tool rather than just having a tool that eventually you get mending from. I think I've already got a mending book from fishing, but with mending then you just got the same tool forever, and it's nice to have a bit of variety in history with your tools. It might not last forever. When I get netherite tools, I'll probably put mending on them because they're just too expensive to do that with, but we'll see. Now, once I'd built this huge pit for the sugarcane farm to go in, I'm building Tango-Tex sugar farm. I had to do it in a very strange way. I'm building backwards because I know where the shop's going. I know where the water chute bringing everything up, the water elevator is, which is here. And so then I'm working out the water channels by going backwards from that before I can place the sugarcane farm. It works fine. It's great. But, I've got here I'm putting in the water to hydrate the soil that the sugarcane is going to be standing on, and of course I put my jack-o'-lanterns in for the light. That's just my benefit. I like the bright areas to see. This is, like I said, this is Tango-Tex farm. Now it's a very old design, is Tango-Tex farm. And it's changed since he made it. Some update has made it so that the observers at the end that are looking at the sugarcane receive random ticks. They just every now and again give out random pulses and fire when the cane they're looking at is not grown. However, I think what it is now they seem to be detecting that the sugarcane is receiving the random growth ticks, whether it grows or not. It gets a random tick that says you can grow if you want to, and then it has a chance to grow. And I think that's what's happening. And it's annoying at first while you're building the farm. It's annoying that it keeps firing for no reason. But very quickly, once the farm's running, it's not a problem, because even if the sugarcane that it's looking at hasn't grown, then you can bet your life one or two further down the aisle have grown. So it's always harvesting anything. And here I'm checking the water flow to make sure that the harvested reed goes down the water channel to the elevator, which it does. Some people are worried about the waterlogged stair block at the end there, if you top left if you see. But no, the cane gets into it but then floats up out of it and it's fine. But you can see the acacia slab that parts off the water channel from the water elevator, and underneath that there is a block at the moment, but I'm going to have to change that to ice so that it slides across, and that's where we're going now. Now, if you remember in episode 1, the first direction I explored from this base was northwards, and the biomes began to get colder and colder the further north I went. So I think that's probably the best bet for me to head towards. I'm looking for really any sort of mountain that's high enough to make the water change to ice when I put it down up there, but preferably something cold, some snow maybe. That would be a big help. So it was just a case of getting in the boat and sailing off in that direction. These were the cliffs that I checked on the way, trying to find iron and never found any. But along the way I found a ruined portal under the water and got yet another golden apple. If you remember this area, this was the swamp where I fought the zombies on the first night, and I don't know how, but if I didn't look to the right. If I'd have looked to the right, I'd have seen this icebergs, almost right where I made my landfall to go and get the saplings. So I came to examine the icebergs, and there's some wonderful polar bears here. They're so cool, these polar bears. Not going to near the one with the cub over there though. But there's another ruined portal just under this frigid water, with this time it's got an enchanted golden apple in. And I didn't want to destroy my landscape. I like the icebergs, so I thought, well, I'll take the ice from under the water, which is easy to do now. I've got respiration helmet, so I collected quite a bit of that. And then I thought, well, I'll have a look around, see what's nearby, and I saw this, a pink sheep. So I quickly marked the area where she is, and from there I thought, this is really pretty, this landscape. I'll just go and have a look. Hi turtle. I'll just go and have a look, see what's over here. While I'm doing that, I'm collecting snow, and I'm going a little bit further collecting the snow, because I'll be able to make a snowman, so I'll have my own source of snow from then on. And from here I saw an ice spikes biome. Fantastic. Let's go and have a look at the ice spikes biome. So I get closer to the ice spikes biome, which is a really pretty area. They're a wonderful thing for the game. They're really interesting, and they're always wonderful to find. But as I got here, I noticed off to the left there a village, which is awesome, because once the trade rebalance comes in, you're going to need villagers from different biomes, and this was my chance to protect them all from the zombies. You know, hello, you okay in there? I'm just going to help you out a little bit. I can't help it. I always seem to be locking poor villagers into the houses. But it's a really pretty little village right next to the ice spikes. Wonderful find. So then I headed back home on my with my treasures, and as the night was going, I slept on an iceberg, which meant I could actually see from there. I could see something glowing under the water when I was coming away, and it's a submerged temple, ocean monument, which is great. That's two I know of now. Then there's that one there, and there's the original one that I found. But I came away from there quickly because I didn't want to get shot. And as I'm coming away from it, look what I found. A mushroom island. It's just been the gift that keeps on giving, this seed. It's absolutely wonderful. Really, really cool. So past the icebergs onto the mushroom island. Take the chance to grab a bit of mycelium while I'm there. And say hello to all these delightful little mushrooms. Now, I was pretty sure that I hadn't gone very far around this bay at all. I'm still not that far from the swamp. And when I saw the ocean monument there on the right, I thought, that must be the ocean monument that I found in the first place. The one not so far from my base. And it turns out, yes. Basically, the Mushroom Island is about 2 minutes in a straight line across the ocean from the end of my Grand Sewer Tunnel. If I come out that Grand Sewer Tunnel and just head in a straight line, I will hit the Mushroom Island. It's that good. It's that good. So I brought all my treasures back home. Had to get all that ice stored away. I love this tunnel. Love this tunnel. But then it was a case of I can't resist. I've got to go back. I've got to get the sheep and bring her back with me because rare pink sheep. She's spawned that way. She's not been dyed. And somehow she chose a name for herself, Dolly. I don't know why, just Dolly, but it was. So I thought, well, I'm here. I might as well take the chance and breed some turtles, get some turtle eggs, because I'm going to need those in the future. And I do have plans for them that involve several things, both useful and cosmetic. So I spent a couple of days on the beach here, just breeding turtles and getting eggs. But then once that was done, it was a case of time for myself and Dolly to head off on a boat trip. Well, she's a good swimmer. A really good swimmer. And along the way we picked up a few friends to take with us. And then I set forth with my animal navy. I think that's just fantastic, dragging them on the leads. It's so good now that you can bring them this way. It makes things much easier. I've put a few of them in the chicken coop just for temporary storage. But a couple of them I'm going to put in a pen where I fish, because in case you don't know, when lightning hits mushrooms, you can get rare brown mushrooms. So these guys, I'm waiting for that to happen. Adventure over, it was time to get back to work, and the first thing was putting in the ice that it had all been about, so that the sugarcane will slide over that and into the water elevator. Let's test it. Yep, see, it slides right across, no problem. So now it was just time to build the actual glass chutes for the water to go up, which, like I say, I built that bit first because I knew the chests were going here in the shop. I knew I wanted the water chute to come up at that place, which is actually, it's quite a good way of doing it, really. I mean, I suppose it's obvious to some people, but I'm learning all the time with this new series. I really am. Testing myself in ways I've never tried before. So the sugarcane just goes up there, filters round, goes through all the chests, and when all those chests are full, it will then get disposed of on a cactus. I don't need more than about 12 double chests full of sugarcane, although it will be used for paper trading, which will get me a nice lot of emeralds. And now I began to experiment with the building. For some reason it had come to my mind that this was called Acacia Publishing, and I can't explain why it popped into my head, but I like to find that things choose their own name, animals, buildings, etc, etc. And I thought, well, if it's called Acacia Publishing, I'll try acacia wood. I'll put the beams up and I'll put the trim in acacia and see how that goes. Also trying the deep slate roof, which I think's quite nice. It's where I live in the north of England. A lot of houses have slate roofs rather than tiled roofs, so it is quite fitting, I suppose. Now here I decided, because this is a factory, I wanted it to be kind of Industrial Revolution style, so brick, and I like the defined cornerstones. So I put those in first and then decided I'd build the brick wall. Now, in hindsight, I think I should have basically reversed the proportions here. I should have had everything that's granite to be brick and everything that's brick be granite, and it would have been much better. But looking at it the way I built it, because this was my first time trying to build a brick wall, it just wasn't right. I didn't like that at all. I really didn't. I think the solution is just to swap them round, but didn't like it, so tore it all back down. And then a thunderstorm happened, and watch, the cows are already brown, but as it strikes, lightning strikes, every time it strikes them it swaps them between mushrooms and brown mushrooms. There's a very small chance of getting a brown mushroom when you breed them, but there's a guaranteed chance of getting them when you swap them with hit them with lightning. So I just waited for the lightning to strike. After watching it do that, I sat there just waiting for one more. I just needed one more. As soon as it struck there, yep, turn them to brown mushrooms. Take away the lightning rod so then they won't get struck again, hopefully. And I'll breed them up and spread them around, and I've got brown mushrooms. The rest of the night was a blast. I just decided to stay awake and use my looting 2 sword on as many mobs as I could find. Spiders and creepers were my target. I wanted string, I wanted gunpowder. The creepers I would soften up by just hitting with a half pull of the bow first, and then just leaping and critical hit them, which worked really well. This way I'd knocked off with the bow first, then just finished him off. And so it was a really fun night. Lots of action, zombies everywhere. I had to get the zombies and the skeletons and then just concentrate on the spiders. It got me so many string and gunpowder. Probably got a couple of stacks of each. And I had a lot of fun just running around, just just leaping into the creepers, critting them. The Looting 2 sword is really useful. It's on its way out, it's getting there, and I desperately need to get into the nether and kill a few wither skeletons with it before it runs out, hopefully. Which might force my hand and might make me do that sooner than I'm intending to, but we'll see. But it was just an epic battle this on the grounds. I was just for the rest of the night just fighting everything, killing the skeletons, killing the zombies, and then looting the spiders and creepers. I had a lot of fun, and the flat terrain really helped, of course, having all that big flat area to go from, so they can't surprise you really the same, and it made it much easier to just run around and pick off what I wanted to pick off. But then it was back to building again. Building a sort of stone grey box and then texturing it afterwards seems to be my way of doing it now. I really enjoy that. I can get the shape with the smooth stone and then just texture it up afterwards and spend a little bit of time pondering things. It works for me. I like that quite a lot. But one thing I do find is that while I'm doing it, I can sort of like take time to consider things, reconsider them, and all the time I was building I just wasn't feeling the acacia either. It didn't work for me. I didn't like it. It was too bright. But I made some scaffolding out of my night's profits of string and everything, which really helps. I'm getting to like scaffolding. It does help you get around once you've put in the effort to learn how to use it properly. It can be annoying until you do that, but it's fine for that. And then I changed the fascia, and I decided which to prefer, the spruce or the dark oak. And I think with the black slate it's the dark oak. Here you rejoin me a couple of real life days later, and I'd been for a very long caving session because I didn't really know what to do. I used the recording software called Action, and on the 1st of February it got an update, and this update just seemed to balk the whole thing. It really made a mess of it. It couldn't detect Minecraft at all, and it wasn't recording it. and I didn't know what to do. I'd lost all the footage of me building the roof and everything because it was showing me that it was recording, but it wasn't. And eventually I found a workaround where I set it to just record my screen instead of a game, and that managed to get the rest of this footage that you're seeing now. But I lost quite a lot. We still don't know how to fix it or what's going on. It's causing a lot of problems for a lot of people, and it's causing issues for Narlo and everybody. But the update really messed things up. Anyway, here you see me building the crane now for the back end of the factory. This is what's going to be bringing in the loads of raw materials that they get off the ship in the docks and bring it into the factory to be able to put the different fibres and everything down into the wet end of the machine to be changed into the fibres that are going to dry out to paper. I'm building the crane now, the crane part of it, to bring the stuff up from a ship that will pull up at the dock there. And originally I put brown carpet on top of the support beam, but I thought, well, I don't need that there to stop the spawns. I can put metal bars on it. It makes it look more reinforced. I originally put wooden supports up the sides here to put the frames, but I changed those to metal as well. And I decided to use the kelp block to signify like blocks of sugarcane, which I know it's not, but it does work as a fibre, I suppose. I could say they're mixing fibre and sugarcane together to get the paper, I suppose. And then I decided to make the banners because I want to put a sign on the roof of the paper mill. And so I originally made them by using white banners with putting black dye on to get the lettering. It's actually quite enjoyable doing this. It's a bit like a puzzle. You've got because you've only got a few moves you can make with a banner. So for instance, you can get most of them with a white border around, but you can't do that with R because you've only got enough moves to make the letter. It's really interesting. They're a lot more fun than I gave them credit for, banners. I enjoyed this process quite a lot. But the whole point of that was I wanted a sort of like a neon sign on top of the shop part of the paper mill, and so I made the banners to go on here, and I'd been in the Nether and got the glowstone already in the previous episode. Previous episode, or was it this episode? Feels like I think it's this episode now. Gosh, it's been a long time being made this. But anyway, so yeah, it works anyway as a kind of neon sign. The trouble with banners is the only render to very few blocks away, nowhere near as far as I'd like them to. So quite a lot of the time from a distance, you're not seeing the banner until you get close. But that's something you just have to work with, I suppose. But it came out okay. There just wasn't something that wasn't quite right with it. It didn't work the way I was hoping it had worked. And then I realised it was the colour of the banner that made the difference for me. I wanted the letters in white, not in black. It seems to, I don't know, stand out a bit better. Complement together a bit better. I prefer that either way. And then I was on to decorating the outside of the building, and I wanted some mud, and this was my solution at the time. I will get into making a proper mud factory at some point, but just for the few I needed, it was a case of just do it in the water, get the wheat from the wheat field and make the packed mud, which is a new block. This is my first time ever making it and using it, but I'm looking forward to it because it has got a lot of uses, and certainly building uses as well. And I thought I'll put a very temporary path in here. This is not how the path is going to look like. I'll do a whole episode probably doing paths. I just wanted to give something to give the impression of the exterior to make the building pop a little bit more and to stand out. And then round the back here I'd built the doors for the men to get the cargo off the ship and into the building via the crane. And then I thought, well, if I put trap doors to signify the big doors themselves, and I can just fit on the bottom just a couple of spruce doors to give the handle, which makes it look like big barn doors in a way. I quite like that. It works. It does it. You know what? These idiots. They would never leave me alone. But now it's time for the tour. And so here she is in all her glory, the paper mill now. As you can see, I did change her over to dark oak to go with the deep slate tiled roof. Somehow the acacia wasn't working, and I think it's the right choice. Decorated all along the sides with different types of leaves, jungle leaves, birch leaves. And here at the back is the loading dock with the crane bringing up the raw kelp blocks and everything to bring into the factory. There's actually guidelines down the sides of the harbour wall as well for the ships to pull up to, so they know where they need to be. The walls are textured. At the front I've put some sugar cane and I've placed string on top of that to keep it to the right height. Now here's the part you didn't see me build because of action really causing all those troubles. But this is the main office. This is where the manager will be, the person you can trade most of the paper with. He will be working at this station here in his little office. He's got his after nap bed there, and he's got the microphone on the side, which is a lever to talk down to the main office at the main shop floor. Here's the crane at the back with its winch to bring the cargo things across to lower into the pool, or to stack at the side ready for lowering into the pool with the chains going across and the pulley system. It's got the big barn doors at the back with the safety rail to stop members of the public falling inside. And then you can see the paper being drawn out of the pool, drawn across the heating elements, dried and then turned into dry paper and cut into the shapes. This is what it was all about, this paper making machine. This was the idea that spawned the whole thing. I wanted to make the paper making machine itself. Here's where the villagers will work, and they will cut the paper. There's their after nap stations. And I'm really pleased with how this came out. I really am. I think it came out wonderfully, really. I'm very pleased. But the paper is drawn out of the wet pool there. The fibre is stretched and pulled taut and then steamed dry here across the grills, where it's then rolled even flatter and smoother before coming down to be cut by the blades. And the workers here, those looms really do work for a bed of blades to my mind. Really nice. And then inside here is actually the heart of the operation. This is the sugarcane farm. Won't need to come here very often at all. This is Tangotech's lossless sugarcane farm design. Worked beautifully still after all this time. I've enclosed it all in, made it as bright and nice as I can. I like my buildings bright. But that works quite well. It really does. It provides a decent amount of sugar cane. Quite like the look of the water streams as well. The water streams coming around to the water vapor, the water vapor that brings it up to the top. There's the roofs that sadly lost the footage of my building with the skylights and the lights. And then here's the office where the paper will all be stored. And I've got all these chests to fill up. It's already filled all this up while I was building the paper mill. But any extra that will then go around and be destroyed on the cactus. And that's it. It took quite a long time, really. But I'm pleased with the outcome. It's a building that I enjoyed the process of making it. It really did come along well, and I'm surprised all that stemmed from just the idea of the paper making machine. But now all that's left for me to do now is to sign the work. The Peerless Paper Company, the 3rd of February 2024, and these are double-sided signs now, so you have to write on both sides. Its name just evolved over time and changed from the Acacia Company to the Peerless Paper Company because nobody's as good as these guys are. That's it. I'll just say thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. I've been Mindfiend. You guys, as always, have been wonderful. Bye for now.